AIDS advocates are saying the U.S. President administration's funding freeze on life-saving work being done in Africa is creating a crisis for HIV response. Clinics are closing, people aren't getting their medications, and many fear it could lead to a global AIDS pandemic. Here's Tess Van Straten now telling us more about this week's Vital People. The Victoria Grandmothers for Africa are hoping to raise awareness and funds to help.
There's nothing I can say that can go on.
Just horrified.
These Victoria Grandmothers for Africa were shocked to see the Trump administration halt life-saving AIDS funding.
We were just devastated. USAID provides so much funding to Africa.
I was truly horrified and didn't really realize just how devastating it was going to be, and now we're finding out.
A recent report from the Stephen Lewis Foundation says the U.S. Agency for International Development funding freeze has caused intentional chaos and threatens to undo decades of hard-fought progress in the HIV movement.
The number of infections, the number of people who are getting sick from HIV, who are developing AIDS, has gone down remarkably since the 2000s. So it's been a real success story.
For some countries, more than 80% of AIDS funding came from the U.S. The cuts mean clinics are closing, medication isn't being given out, and stakeholders say the suspension could lead to an uncontrollable spread of HIV with devastating human and financial consequences, both locally and globally.
I'm angry. I'm so sad. I'm so sad that an administration could make these just sweeping cuts and devastate so many people's lives. Yeah, it's heartbreaking.
Nonprofits had been working towards a goal of ending AIDS by 2030, thanks in large part to USAID funding, as well as efforts by Canada's Stephen Lewis Foundation.
The grandmothers in Africa were bringing up their grandchildren because the parents had died of AIDS. And then slowly over the years, it has changed. And then just in the last couple of years, things have changed quite dramatically because of the medications.
In the last 2 decades, the Victoria Grandmothers for Africa have raised more than $2 million for Stephen Lewis's Grandmothers to Grandmothers campaign. Having lived and worked in Africa, it's a cause close to Julie's heart.
I worked with a lot of women's groups over there, and I know that the women's groups, they take every penny out of the funding that they get and they stretch it and squeeze it as far as they can. I know that the funding goes a long way.
The Stephen Lewis Foundation's now appealing for donations as it tries to help communities in crisis due to the U.S. funding freeze. Julie and Jillian just hope the Trump administration reverses course so this doesn't cause a global AIDS pandemic.
People are going to die. People are going to get sick and die, and communities are going to suffer, and economies are going to be affected. It's just overwhelming.
Vital People, brought to you by the Victoria Foundation, connecting people who care with causes that matter.